We speak about the upside of failure. One of my failures is how I have not come to terms with grief, or I've not come to terms with my father's death. And there are moments that trigger me. It's the oddest things. The oddest things.
702.
The upside of failure.
Proof that a setback can lead to a step forward.
The upside of failure, and so interesting that we have this specific person at this specific time on the show. He is the founder of the country's top good news platform. He's an entrepreneur. He's an author. He even brought me his book, Only Good Things. And he is known as South Africa's good things guy, Brent Lindeque. Welcome.
Oh, what a great intro.
Thanks for coming. You drove from so far, from one studio to the next.
One studio to the next. I walked out of one studio.
And came back.
And then I came back into the studio. No, it's great to be here. Wow. What an absolute honor to be on your show, to be, chatting about real stuff, because that's what it's about, right? It's a lot of people, and I'm sure we're going to get into the story. Obviously, we will. A lot of people might see Good Things Guy, and some people only find you might be listening right now, going, "What is that?"
Yes.
And then you find it, and you're like, "Wow, this is so incredible!" But it's 11 years old, and my story with Good Things Guy is 12 years old, and me as a wink, 29-year-old man. I'm not really 29.
I'm sitting and I'm like,
no, 41.
What
41.
is he using for his skin?
Yeah, no. I can get away.
I was like, Chris Jenner's that you?
So I mean, there's a whole life experience that has now brought me into where I am today. And
but I have to say, and sorry to cut you there, because I'm like, I want everybody to get an opportunity to delve in your background. But let me tell you why timing is so divine. And I'm going to do my best to not get emotional, is I have had so many people writing to me to say, thank you for giving David Sejobe his flowers while he was alive. And Good Things Guy did a story on him too.
Yeah, we did.
And I kind of was thinking when I was chatting to the team, and I was like, isn't that weird? We will talk about having someone on the show, and then it might not happen at that time, but it happened to have happened this specific time, where for us it's been such a full circle moment with the show. But also, isn't it phenomenal how, and I don't know if you feel the same way, watching what's been unfolding over the week, what really has stood out for me is like, we love each other as South Africans. Like, it is so insane that just yesterday on our Belief Matters feature, we're talking about this interfaith group where different leaders from different faiths have gotten together to discuss how they're tackling GBV from their faith perspective. And I was just thinking to myself, it's been a harrowing, painful week, but all I could think about is, how is it that as South Africans we have this ability to love people we don't know? There are people who are only finding about David now that he's passed on, that are touched and in tears. And because of the work that you do, where you only intentionally look for good news, which is like, it's so weird because I discuss the other stuff and try to say, how do we navigate through it? I'm curious as to how you have sort of absorbed the David Sejobe story, having seen it from where it was to where it is now, seeing how South Africans are reacting. I can't tell you how flooded my DMs are of people saying, I didn't know. Some people thought that we're only celebrating him now that he's gone. And now they're like, wait, there was this story.
Yep. Yeah, so we covered his story when he did that big cycle for his dad. And that was a couple of years ago. And
2022. Yeah.
And when the news broke over the weekend, what was profound is how people who had never met him resonated with his story. And I believe, and this is just my opinion, it was because he was such a kind human being. And the legacy that he leaves behind is that memory of him being an incredible human, an incredible South African. And other South Africans have seen themselves within him because we are love. And many times there are many different challenges that we face as a country that divide us. Sometimes the things that divide us are placed to divide us. It's people doing things. I don't want to bring in politicians, but
strategically and systematically.
We are divided. But as a country, the way we unite is, I've got goosebumps because it's real.
And this is why I was so excited to talk to you about this, because you have intentionally created your own rose-tinted glasses for the positive. And the way I connect that to David, and I truly encourage everybody to go to YouTube and watch that first interview because of how he easily said, no, I just cycled to Orange Farm, it's just here. Yeah. And he said, it's just one toll gate, and it's all about perspective. I want to add something with the David story, which has been so amazing to see. And first of all, it's the messages, right? So we as a team have been reporting on the crowdfunding campaign, which was launched last week, Saturday, which is today sitting on 520,000 Rand for his family. And the messages there are just, it's soul stirring to read how David has moved South Africa. But the other side of that, which don't want to get emotional. I know, I'm with you.
Is how South Africans with so little are giving back. Because if you go through the crowdfund, there are the big numbers. There's a company that gave 10,000 Rand, and then there's someone who's given 500 Rand. But if you scroll through, it's people that are donating 10 Rand, 20 Rand, 50 Rand. And if you think about that in the bigger scheme of things, if you don't have a lot, but you're willing to give some of it away in honor to remember someone, and it's not only just about honoring him and remembering him, but it's highlighting his story even more. That's what that does. That's what those 10 Rands and 20 Rands do. And they all added up to over 500,000 Rand, which, yeah.
I have always received the most generosity from the people who have the least. But the one message that truly stood out for me, I think he was commenting on Facebook or Instagram. And he said, I have been working my whole life to achieve tick certain boxes just so I could live the life that David is living. Isn't that wild? And we will look at security guards in inverted commas hierarchy of society as people who are minimum entry level workers. But can you imagine somebody who says, I've been climbing the corporate ladder doing all these things just so I could live the way he's living, which is happy every single day. What obviously absolutely shatters my heart is how he passed on. And I can only, there's that thought in my mind that maybe if he had been taken to the hospital immediately or an ambulance called, he would still be with us, right? But I'm also like, the message has been, he's completed the purpose, which we will never forget him.
Never. There are moments, I've been doing this for a decade now, that I've been reporting on good news. And there are moments that stay with our country forever. And this is one of those moments. It's one of those moments that we'll look back on David and we will remember his name and we will remember his story. And because of him and his legacy, there are many more South Africans that have been inspired to be a little bit kinder, to be nicer to each other, to have that that beautiful big smile that he had, to carry that around. And I think that's the legacy that he leaves behind.
Definitely. Yo, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we find out how it all began in a world that is so dark, so painful, so challenging. Why did one guy say, I want to be the good things guy?
702.
The upside of failure.
20 minutes after 2 o'clock, the upside of failure. And we are with South Africa's good things guy, Brent Lindeque, 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line 0727021702. I want to talk about how you got into what you're doing, because I did that exercise one day where I don't know if it was me doing early breakfast or overnight live, one of the shows. And I said, let's do an exercise where we only do good news. That's it. What do you think happened on that radio show that day?
I would like to think that the studio was lighter, and that the listeners were thankful, and that everything just flowed. And that's me with my rose-tinted glasses on, because I know the truth.
And the truth is, no one had anything to say. We shared the good news, so much of it from around the world, from home. And this platform in particular thrives on engagement, not on monologues. And I don't regret that exercise, and I still think it's very important to regularly find something positive. I mean, Wendy Nola's feature this week, we had a positive, like, oh, thank goodness, something positive with good feedback of a brand that did something amazing. But why do you think it is that we don't like good news as people? Why do good news not travel as fast? Why do we revel in things that are not positive?
Well, I guess it goes back to that old age saying that says, if it bleeds, it leads. And if the story is harder and tougher, and then it travels more. We share it on our WhatsApp groups. We talk about it at the dinner table. It's almost like when you're driving on the highway, and you don't automatically do this. So it's not something that we want to do as humans. It's not something that we like lekker, that we're proud of.
Yes.
But if you see an accident, you're going to look.
That's why we slow down, because we want to see.
You want to see. You want to see what's going on there. And an accident is not a pretty thing. But in the same breath, over the last decade, I've seen in equal measure how good news can do exactly the same when we choose to let it. So my story, you asked how it all started. 12 years ago, the 31st of January 2014, which is just a couple of days away, minus 12 years.
When you were 10 years old.
When I was just 10 years old. I mean, at least my face was.
Yes.
There was something that was happening around the world, and it had been going on for a couple of weeks. So since like December 2013, it was called NEC nominations. And the whole idea, it started down in Australia, and the idea was simple. Drink as much as you possibly could, alcohol. Do something silly. So like, I don't know, jump out of a helicopter, skateboard down a road, eat live goldfish. People were doing the craziest things. And they were uploading these videos online and then nominating people to outdo what they'd done. And like I was watching this trend, there were millions of videos being shared from all around the world, including South Africa. So people were jumping on this. It was like the first original challenge. So like on TikTok now we get challenges all the time. This was the OG.
Yes.
But the one just before the ALS bucket challenge.
Yes.
This was it. And I was watching this thing from here in South Africa, and I got to the office on the 31st of Jan, and I opened up my computer, and there was a friend who had done something as equally silly. I mean, I drink, so I'm not saying like it's terrible. I drink.
Yes.
I love me a mimosa.
Yes.
But at this moment, when I was watching this thing unfold in front of me, I was like, we could use social media in such a better way. Like we really could. This challenge is fun, but what is it actually achieving? What difference is it making? So I got nominated, and I could have joined the challenge very easily, but I decided instead to do what people would refer to as a random act of kindness. Was it? Because it was kind of calculated. I went to a store, I bought an extra sandwich, a chocolate, and a cold drink. So there's the calculation. And I wanted to give it to the next person in need. not difficult in South Africa.
Yes.
There is someone on every single corner in need. And I handed over.
Not you, Camps Bay.
Oh, not you. We're talking about.
Except
Joburg.
there's a housing crisis, so never mind. I take that back.
So
There's a millionaire in need of a home.
badly, or just a garage parking space.
So you went and then.
So I handed over that meal to someone that was on the road, and my colleague captured that video with my phone, and I got to my office and I uploaded the first YouTube video I'd ever put up, and it went viral, like properly viral, and I say viral. I mean, things go viral now all the time, right? You open up your social media and this is going viral today and it's forgotten tomorrow. This carried on for weeks.
Wow.
Weeks. I was all over the news, both locally and abroad. My first interview that Monday was actually 702, which is so funny that I now am with 702. But it was all over the place. CNN flew out a crew to do like a little documentary on me to speak about how I call myself a very average South African, had managed to change a global game. Because what had happened overnight is millions of people, first a couple of hundred, then 1,000, then millions of people around the world had decided to change their neck nomination into a RAC nomination, which is a random act of kindness, right? And this thing was born. And it went on for weeks. It was just weeks and weeks and weeks of me being tagged in videos and me being on shows, both locally and abroad, and on newspapers and all sorts of things. All of a sudden, everybody was contacting me, including charities, businesses with the most incredible CSR organizations, and individuals to tell me about their good things that they were doing. Because he has this guy, he's done so much good. I need to tell him what I do.
Yes.
And
you had nowhere to
put it. And I had nowhere to tell those stories. And I'll tell you this, that in that moment when I was surrounded by all this good news, it was the first time in my life where I didn't feel like South Africa was falling over. We often live in the state of mind, which is almost like in a state of fear, right? With the news that we see on a daily basis, we're waiting for that moment to happen.
Yep.
It's like we're on the precipice of something.
And continuously anxious.
All the time.
Yeah.
And for the first time in my entire existence on this planet, with a 10-year-old face. No, I'm joking. I didn't feel that way, and I wanted other people to feel the same. I wanted them to have that hope in our country. I wanted them to feel proud. I wanted them to hear these stories. So it took me a little while. It took about a year. I had a podcast, and I was on Cliff Central, and I had a little feature on CNBC on a Friday night. So I was sharing the good news in different spaces, but it took about a year. And on the 1st of August, 2015, I officially launched Good Things Guy as a blog. And it was, the whole idea was to share one good news story with South Africa every day. And a decade later, 11 years this year, we're South Africa's top good news site. We reach 35 million South Africans on a monthly basis. We share, and I say we because it's a full team. It's a media team. We share up to 20 good news stories every single day from South Africa to the world. And that's where it all started.
To just say, I don't believe in anything being a coincidence, and that random act of kindness I still believe is random, because that thought had to cross your mind, and many people have a positive thought cross their mind. There are even fewer people who do something about it, because you'll see something on your way home. Maybe you'll be like, "Yo, this park is so messy. It would be so cool
if it was
to come clean it up." But nobody really follows through with the doing of the stuff.
A great analogy there, and I don't want to upset any of the listeners, so I'm not calling you out, and I'm not judging you.
Yes.
But a great analogy there is going to the movies.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the movie, you just leave your popcorn and your cold drink there for someone else to clean up. Like, doesn't it start with that simple act of, let me clean up what's around me, and then that filters into other spaces? But I'll tell you this, right? So the universe, I wrote about this yesterday or this morning, because I sort of wrote 2 statuses about this moment that had changed my life 12 years ago. And one of them was focused on the moment, and the other was focused on the universe. So the 31st of January is when it happened. And then on the 1st of February was my grand's birthday. And she phoned me. I phoned her to wish her happy birthday. And all she could talk about was like, I saw you on the news.
Yes.
And I don't understand what's going on, but it's really cool. And everybody's loving. And it was so special. And then 5 days later, she died. Like it was such a weird space to be in, because in the same moment that this beautiful thing was unfolding, and I was still doing interviews and whatever, I was dealing with the death of my gran. And when I wrote this thing, I said that moment, I don't know if it was God or the universe or perhaps my upbringing. Maybe it was all three. But something had pushed me into that space. And then we had to deal with my gran, and then I was still doing everything at the same time, and it was so weird.
But you know, it's beautiful though. And what stands out to me is the fact that she got to experience that with you, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, I'm a firm believer she's with you all the time, but you got to see her excitement.
Oh,
you got to.
She had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
She was like, "What is viral? What is Facebook? I don't even know what's happening.
But everyone's talking about you.
Why are you on CNN? I don't know, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing."
That is so cute. We need to go to the news. When we come back, we continue.
702.
The upside of failure.
8 minutes to 3 o'clock, the upside of failure. We're chatting to Brent Lindeque, the Good Things Guy. Please head over to his website, goodthingsguy.com, and you can also find his book, Only Good Things. And I'm just so grateful at the timing of this conversation, and I hope that those of you listening have some beautiful takeaways. On the WhatsApp line, there's a message from Paula. Says, Brent has changed my Fridays. Every week I block out my diary to listen to him on Mandy's show. It's my therapy for the week. Thank you so much, Brent. And we also have a voice note on 072-702-1702.
Good afternoon, Relebogile and 702, the Good Things Guy. Trust you're well. Kindly advise, how do I share my story with the Good Things Guy? I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
So how do they share stories with you?
Oh, it's so simple. So we have got an email address, a dedicated email address for stories, and that is stories@goodthingsguide.com. So stories with an S at goodthingsguide.com. And you can send all of them over there. The editorial team are watching that inbox like hawks. They are waiting for your good news.
So sometimes people look at folks like yourself who are very intentional about spreading good news, and I'm sure they assume that, oh, you're just a happy-go-lucky guy, completely unaware of some of the challenges you may have faced in your life. You spoke already about your nana passing away. What was it like losing your father? And how have you navigated grief? I mean, a week like this, I know even if people just hear of a death, it can be triggering of others. You know, how have you been navigating that?
I have a disgusting relationship with my grief. It's something that I carry on my sleeve, not because I want to, because it just will never go away. And losing my dad was very sudden. So he'd gone on holiday to a malaria area, Mozambique, and he'd come back to South Africa, and about 2 weeks later, he thought he had a cold.
Yep.
So on the Monday, he thought he had a cold, and went and self-medicated. And on the Tuesday morning, he was completely incoherent. He couldn't string a sentence together. He got hospitalized on the Tuesday, and he died on the Wednesday.
Wow.
So it was like very, very sudden. And I really, really, really loved my dad. He wasn't the greatest dad. He did silly things, and dads are dads and they're human. But he was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful human being. And everybody that knew him absolutely loved him, and I loved him. I loved my dad. And to lose him has been one of the biggest tragedies of my life. When I wrote about it, because I write, that's what I do. It's cathartic for me. And I described that phone call that I got. My whole world shifted and I forgot how to breathe. I fell to the floor and I was trying to open up the ground so that I could grab onto something that could just ground me. And I never really found my footing again. And it's been 15 years, which is it's tragic to hear that I haven't gotten over it. Right? Grief is not linear. We know that, and all these great things, but it rears its head, and it rears its head often.
Yeah.
So we speak about the upside of failure. One of my failures is how I have not come to terms with grief, or I've not come to terms with my father's death. And there are moments that trigger me. It's the oddest things. The oddest things.
But you know what? I just thought about something now when you said, I almost feel like if you had come to terms, and I put that in inverted commas because we all have a picture of what that would look like, right? I think something in you would have been so changed and irreversibly so. And I think there are certain things that remain there to keep us humanly vulnerable and soft in a very weird way.
Yeah.
And I think it's also reminders. It's little reminders for us. You struggled at some point in school. You've not passed certain things.
No, but I know what you're referring to.
You're going through so many things that people can look at and be like, what? This successful guy went through that. Please share with all the listeners through every single one of the things that felt like a failure at the time, that you might still feel are a failure even now. What is the biggest lesson you have learned about failure?
My biggest lesson about failure is that it's not finite. Like the moments that we perceive are so incredibly important, in those moments are generally not. And they're character building, absolutely. So you speak about failing stats first year. I was devastated.
Yes.
Devastated.
Stats is hard though.
Devastated. and then in second year, I had to redo first year and apply my mind, and then I got a distinction.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things that we can overcome. And sometimes the problems look so big when we're looking at them, when we're in the moment, and really sometimes they're not,
Thank you so much for coming through. I might steal you from Mandy. I'm going to send her a message.
Mandy would not be kind.
She will not. She'll be like, you're going to turn me into a bad guy. Head over to goodthingsguy.com and subscribe, and you can get good news in your inbox every single day, just to remind you that, hey, you're here, and we're still doing it. We have a way to go, but there's always something positive around us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. This has been incredible.
Spend your afternoon
With Relebogile Mabotja.
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.